Good night, folks. My name is Renato, and I'm here back with you. I'm CEO and founder of e-NetSec. Our goal at e-NetSec is to help small startup and medium companies to provide them with robust security solutions at an affordable price. While we take care of their security, they can actually, keep developing, improving their products, and growing. And we take care of the whole aspect of their security, including the support. Today we are here to talk about DHCP. Right, DHCP is something quite important on a network, especially if you have a large network, right? Because let's say you have 1,000 clients on your network, or 100, even 100, right? So if you're gonna configure each one of those clients manually, it's gonna take a long time, okay? Including nowadays there are so many different types of clients, right? Smartphones, iPads, tablets, routers, access points, servers, Internet of Things, objects, printers, shredders. Even shredders you can plug to the network nowadays, right? So there are loads of types of clients, right? So if you're gonna assign an IP address to each single one and manage each single one manually, it's gonna take a fair bit of time, right? So that's the reason we have what's called DHCP, and DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and it is a software used to dynamically allocate IP addresses to network clients. It is split into client and server architecture, where the server distributes or assigns IP address and the clients just request the IPs. A client can be, as I said, smartphone, laptop, PC, desktop, router, anything that you can plug to a network via Wi-Fi or a cable will require an IP address. Okay, so the DHCP employs a connectionless service model using the UDP or User Datagram Protocol. It is implemented with 2 UDP port numbers for its operations, which are the same as for the bootstrap protocol or BOOTP. UDP port 67 is the destination port for the server, and UDP port 68 is used for the client. So when you turn on your PC and it's connected to a network, your PC will need an IP address. There are 2 main modes, as I said: manually, right, which requires intervention from someone, and dynamically. Manually is when you or a network administrator assigns an address and sets it, manually to your PC, your laptop, or your device, right? And dynamically is when you turn your computer on, your PC requests, shouts on the network, who's the DHCP server, and the DHCP server replies, and then it asks for an IP address, and the DHCP server assigns an IP address free to it, right? And this IP address is assigned, as a lease, and it lasts a period of time. It could be hours, days, or weeks, right? And there are other things that we talk about when you talk about DHCP that we need to know. Example, a DHCP scope, right, is a valid range of IP addresses that are available for assignment or to lease to clients. An exclusion is a set or range of IP addresses that are set apart, right? It's not they are not allowed to be allocated. A Dtp reservation is a permanent IP address which has been assigned to a specific device or to a client or to a server, and it's permanent, reserved until a systems administrator or network administrator decides to change it or to remove it. Okay, So there are Dtp options as well, and these options you can pass things like, the mask, the router, the name server, and so many other options, right? So let's take a look now at the DHCP configuration for Windows 2019 and explore it. We left last chat, we finished configuring or tidying up the DNS server, and we are almost finished with configuring our primary domain controller. So far we installed Windows 2019, we configured the basic configuration like IP address, the name, time, and so on, and then we finished setting up configuring the DNS server. We added the AD role or Active Directory role. We created a user, we explored the Active Directory users and groups, and now we're gonna explore the DHCP part of it. Okay, so let's take a look. As you can see, the server manager keeps everything here together, right? So, and here, as you can see, there are some arrows. We're gonna take a look at those, but that's where we are. That's where you can take a look. And to easily explore and easily configure it, Windows has, Microsoft has kind of developed this dashboard and managed to put everything together. And here in Tools, we can find the DHCP, manager. And here it is. Let's make it bigger, okay? And as you can see, let's make this screen a little bit bigger. Let's draw down here. As you can see, there are two DHCP, let's say, instances. One for version 4, IP version 4, which is the current IP that most companies use, right, and are familiar with. This is the IP address, which is a 32-bit long IP address divided into 4 dotted, each one dot separated dot is 8-bit, and the total is 32 bits, right? And they can also be divided, they are divided, split into classes, class A, B, C, D, and E, right? And we formally use A, B, and C, right? Class A is too large for most companies, and it's only assigned by, in actual fact, assigned to, not by, to very large companies like Microsoft, IBM, or universities, large universities like Cambridge University, right? They do have class A. And then class B, which is smaller but is still large. And then we have a class C, which is, I would say, is the most, is used the most along, because there are more smaller networks than bigger, larger networks, right, around the world. So most companies and the home networks, they tend to go for the class C, or they take a class A and then they, put a /24 and make it 24-bit and uses only 254 IP addresses, right? So a class C, it contains 256 IP addresses, but 2 of them are not used. One is used for the network, and another one, the last one, the 0 is used for the network, and the last one, 255, is used for the broadcast. So in the end, we only have 254 real IP addresses that can be allocated to clients, right? It's from 1 to 254, right? So, and we will be talking about and dealing with the instance for IP version 4. And as you can see here, it has an arrow down, and this arrow down means that it's not allowed on the network yet. It's not started, right? So we're gonna allow it on our network, and then we're gonna start it, right? So let's take a look. And in actual fact, it's not allowed, it's authorized, right? So we need to authorize, right, our DHCP server on the network, okay? And here it is. You click on the DHCP service itself, which then in turn it will, you know, on the contents of the DHCP, it will show the server name. Then you right click on the server name and you click authorize, okay? And now you're gonna see that this arrow will turn from red to green. Let's see if it has been authorized. Yeah, it has been authorized. And now we are ready to set our DHCP server. All right. So I'm exploring here because, you know, there are two instances, and there are, I forgot to mention, on the right hand side there are the actions. So we needed to take a look at the actions, and you know, one is to bind, add or removing the bindings, okay, and second one is to unauthorize and to create a backup, restore. We're gonna go through these options and we're gonna show you exactly how it. So, you know, now all we need to do is refresh, and then it is all green and ready to go, right? We don't need to worry too much about IP version 6 because we're not going to be using it. So let's leave it alone. Okay, so here it is. Here's the server name. Here are the, you know, IP instances that we're going to use, IP version 4 and version 6. We're going to deal with version 4 only, and let's explore. At the moment, you know, there is nothing configured, right? So we can create a new scope. Okay, let's take a look. And as I said, let's go back here and take a look. A DHCP scope is a valid IP range, right? So what does it mean? It means that when you set up your network, right, you choose TCP IP to be your set of main protocols, right? And TCP IP works with IPs, right? So you choose an IP range or a class of IPs, and you assign IPs to devices, to servers, right? Then you get that range, and you separate a few IP addresses from that range, which you're going to be using to give them, assign them to the clients, right? That's the scope, okay? It's the portion of IPs that are they are going to be used to assign or lease or lend IPs to clients, okay? So here we can add a name. Let's add a name, sec scope. Here we can add a description. Let's say e-NetSec IP address for internal LAN, just as an example, okay? Then you click next, and here we're gonna allocate. We know, let's take a look. We know, right? We know that we set up an IP address. First of all, we know that we choose a range of, you know, in the class A range, and we subnet it with a /24, right? And our server has an IP address of 37. Here, from there to 10, or from 10 to here, is considered the network. And this IP address here, this number, is considered the host's IP address, right? This is where the server, the network where the server is hosted, and this is the number for that server. This is the mask which defines, you know, the network. It's not a class C, but it's being using 24 bits. This is a default gateway, okay? So now, armed with this information, now we're gonna go here and we're gonna separate a portion of that range, which goes from 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0 to 54. So we can pick and choose, you know, as I said, you know, let's say from 1 to 50, we're gonna assign to servers, to switches, to access pointers, and so on and so forth. And from 100 to 150, we're gonna assign to clients. So, okay, so let's say that from 100 to 150 are the scope we chose to assign to clients, right? Then here we add 10.0.0.100, and the end of the scope is 10.0.0.150. What this means is we are reserving 50 IP addresses to be assigned to clients, okay? And that's it. And the subnet mask is, well, by default, it knows that 10 is class A, which has an, you know, a length of bits of 8 bits, because it uses only the first octet, right? And the class A is, the first octet is for the network, and the 3 last octets are for the clients, right? When you say that you're using /24, you take, you know, you only use the last 8 bits for the client, okay? So we can either change here to 24, right? Sorry. 24. Ah. Or we can go straight here and type 255.255.255.255. It's the same thing, okay? Now that we finally got that working, let's click next, right? Exclusions. As we talked about, let's go back here and take a look at exclusions. Okay, what is an exclusion? It's a range of IP address, one IP or a set of IP addresses, which will be taken off from the range, right? This is in case we don't want to save that portion for whatever reason. It could be a portion that we chose to be manual, but in our case, we don't have anything that we're going to exclude. So we're going to click next to here. But if you want to exclude, it's the same process, right? Let's say I want to exclude 5 IP addresses from 150 to 155, right? Then I do 10.0.0.150, and then here in the end I say 10.0.0.155, and then I click add. Subnet. Okay, let's see. Yeah, actually, you can't exclude a range, but you can exclude IP addresses from the scope. Okay? So now that we you know, we saw this, right? We discovered, let's say, you know, uncovered or you know, made sure that, you know, it only excludes one IP address, not a whole range, right? So this is important for you to know. Okay, so click next, and the IP address 150 will be excluded from the range. Okay, so here is the lease duration. As I said, IP addresses are lent to clients, all right? It's a lease, so you can lease for days if you have a small network, or you can lease it for hours or minutes even, depending how busy your network is, right? I normally lease hours, the hours of the days. For example, if you have, you know, enough IP address, the hour of the days for working days, let's say 8 hours, right? And then click next. So here is where you're gonna configure the Dtp options. As I said, the Dtp options, we set the routers, name servers, domain names, so on and so forth. So let's say yes and click next. So now we are going to define the router, right? Our router, as we saw, right, is 10.0.0.1, and that's what we're going to do here, 10.0.0.0.1, and then we click add, and then our DTP server will assign the router or gateway, as we call it, right? Here is the domain, the parent domain, right? Our main domain is e-NetSec.net. Okay, so but let's leave it LAN because we're gonna use the domain our DNS server to assign. It already knows our DNS server and it has assigned already it, right? That's the domain, the parent domain, the portion without the host name, okay, the fully qualified host name. And now we click next. Okay, we don't have a Win server and we're never gonna have, so click next. And do you want to activate this scope now? So we do, so we click next, we say yes and we click next, and then we click finish. Okay, so now let's explore everything we did. Here's the scope, right? So if we right click on the scope and click on properties, we can see the scope here. We can see the DNS, dynamic DNS, everything set up here, right? Advanced DHCP, right? So the address pool, right, is from 100 to 150. The leases, you know, currently there are no leases. There is one reservation, or actually there is no reservation. Let me show you how we set a reservation. Okay, so let's say I have a client on our network with IP address yeah, let's take a look. Let's reserve some IP config all. So let's get the MAC address for this guy. Okay, copy. Okay, and now let's create a reservation. New reserve. Let's create a name, domain controller, because that's what we're gonna be signed for, the domain controller. Okay, so we copy and paste the MAC address that we copied from the command prompt, and here we type 0.0.37, sorry, not 37, right? We can give it a description, domain controller AD, so and click add. Okay, so that's where the reservation is. and what it's for. It's kind of an exclusion, right? But it's assigning an IP address to a client or server that or device that you don't want to go and sign it manually, but you don't want it to be changed, right? Because the DHCP is dynamic. One day client A receives .37, another day it might receive .38, right? So on and so forth. So if you want a specific IP address assigned to a specific device, then that's what you do. You get the MAC address, you set the reservation, and that's it. Okay? And policies, we haven't set up any policies. Server options. Let's set some options, right? Because that's also important. Something that we haven't done is set up the name server. So there are many options. The options that we normally set on a network is the router, the time server, right? The name servers. The name servers are 10. The name server. Let's put the IP address because I remember the IP, but I don't remember the name. 37. Okay. That's the name server that's going to be served. The DNS server. Right. Again, that's the DNS server. It's pretty much the same. It's validating. That's done. If you want to add a cookie server, LPR, a printer server, host name, boot file, DNS domain name, we can do that. This one is a good one. sec.lan actually. .lan, right? Apply, and that's it. See, and now you can see that there are 3 options that our DHCP will pass. Okay, and that's pretty much it, folks. So now we can see our DHCP server is running. It has been configured. Now it's just a question of bringing clients to our network, and it will start serving IP addresses, right? I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you find it useful. And as I said, our goal with these videos is to give you enough information for you to start learning and developing yourself. There is a lot of information on the internet that you can, based with the basics, you can start growing, scaling your knowledge in any direction you want. But at least knowing how to configure things, you can start moving quickly. And then, as you progress, you're gonna become an expert on Windows technologies, right? So, and then become a professional, and then, have a job and improve your life. Okay, so that's the goal. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a good night, a good weekend, and I see you next time. I'm Renato, CEO at e-NetSec, and I'm happy to be here talking to you guys.